Pretty good? Yeah. All right. 1 second.
Was there any hesitancy on your part at all when you were first offered this? I mean, living up to somebody like Jim Carrey, a little scary. Was there any hesitancy from you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I didn't think I could ever live up to Jim Carrey. I just thought I could do it different than Jim Carrey. Hopefully I'm, you know, Roger Moore to his Sean Connery. Just hopefully I'm not Timothy Dalton.
I was never trying to be Jim Carrey. I wasn't supposed to be the mask. I was supposed to be the mask for one section of the movie. I'll never forget it. I signed the deal and it was this huge deal. So they're like, you gotta read the script. Because I already read the script a couple times. And they were like, this is the final shooting draft, but you can bring your writers in to punch it up. And I just remember reading the final draft and going through it and go, oh God, what did I just sign in on? So this is the untold story of Son of the Mask.
I think we're really pushing the envelope on trying to show things the audience has never seen.
We have done things that I've never done to this extent on any film.
We're creating dizzying, spectacular images.
It's like making a regular movie while you're making a movie with prosthetics, while you're making an animated movie. So we basically kind of piece it together like a big jigsaw puzzle. It gets pretty complicated.
Have you found your mask, Roki?
It was like a lot of special effects, which I gave credit to. Like, I thought if the movie doesn't work, I'm gonna ride the special effects. You know what I mean? How many movies have you seen that they don't work in a lot of ways, but the fucking special effects and the excitement of that will take you through it. And you're like, okay, this is escapism. I don't know, like The Mummy to me was a really good movie with Brendan Fraser. It was a great movie, and then it was very escapism, but also had great special effects, and it had that nice, fun suspense, but not too dangerous. But no, you know, enough dark theater. Ooh, this is exciting. Had an old cinema vibe in a cool new way. And Monkey Bone, people really didn't like too much, but I really liked Monkey Bone.
You have humiliated me in public for the last time.
And it's so fucking cool. And I thought, like, you know, I looked at this as Monkey Bone, but hopefully it could do better at the box office, because I thought Monkey Bone was highly underrated. And it was fucking cool. And I knew that this director, Larry, he had such a vision of just these grand scopes and these huge shots, and he would show me the cartoon and the special effect and the CGI. We just had a lot of big set pieces, and I thought, you know what? I gotta give over. This is out of my land. This is a big time, big budget movie. Shut the fuck up. Go in there, be cute, be puppy dog eyes, be funny when you can, and let that fucking big boys take over. So I was fucking nervous.
Jamie in the beginning was, I guess you'd say, very nervous. He was very nervous.
You know, and I was like, am I going to be able to do what I do? Which is create characters, you know, get into makeup, deep makeup, try a joke 15 different ways, have 6 different versions of the joke on the page, improvise a lot. All of that stuff. That's what you do, you know? Two things happened. I remember I was, at the time, one of the producers of Malibu's, he was a big Laker guy, and he took me to the Lakers. And it was the summer, like, right before I did all this, before we were going to go. And I'm at the urinal, and the dude looks over and he's like, hey, what's up, Jamie, man? I just rewrote your movie, dude. I just rewrote your movie. I'm like, no way. Is that you? And I knew who the writer was. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, it's going to be great. I'm going to do another pass. It's going to be great. So literally, I was half drunk at the urinal at the Staples Center, where the writer that they just rehired to rewrite the movie, not my guys, was doing his own pass. And he assured me at the urinal that it was going to be great. And then I had my writers from the Jamie King Experiment, the co-creators of that, and they were allowed to come in and do their pass too. So there was a lot. There was a lot of effort on the studio and a lot of good faith. So I was like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. I was like, hey, what's up with Jim Carrey? Like, how does he feel about this? Has anyone talked to him? And they're like, yeah, he doesn't want to do it. This is his baby. He's a god. I mean, he's a god. And I'm like, well, I don't want to like piss this dude off. I mean, he's a god of comedy. So they're like, well, you know, it's our movie. We can do what we want. He doesn't want to do it. So I said, okay. So I was thinking about that. So I go to the Teen Choice Awards and I do my presentation. I was up for a couple of awards. I didn't win. And I go back to my seat in the audience. Everything's like a cushion, kind of like this. I was like, who's like 3 cushions over? It's Jim Carrey. I never met him before. I only saw him one other time in person. I saw him at the 1997 MTV Movie Awards. And Jim Carrey did this whole speech and presentation and he murdered it. And then I'll never forget, I was with Nev and we were waiting in the wings and he just came out and he went, and he saw us. We were writing away and he goes, and I thought, what was that? And then I realized what that was. That's like, because when you come off stage and that's super high, he had that super high. He just murdered in this auditorium doing this presentation and he just kept walking. And I was like, and that was like, the only other time I saw him was this moment where I now was presenting on stage. I walk over to him like fucking little 5, whatever, fucking, yeah, I go, Mr. Carrey. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, hey man, I'm Jamie Kennedy. I just want to let you know, I'm doing a sequel to your movie, The Mask, and I just want to let you know that if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. And he said, oh no, man. He's like, go do it. He's like, do it, man. He's like, make it your own. Have fun with it. And I was like, really? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, oh yeah. Just do it. Have fun. And I was like, okay. And we just had this moment, right? And he's like, there was like these cushions, I'll never forget. And he goes, isn't this great? And I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And I go, do you get annoyed coming out these things? He goes, what am I going to do, man? It's either this or sitting at the beach. Can't go anywhere. I thought, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess you can't like, yeah, you really can't go to the supermarket or whatever. He's like, have fun, man. And that was it. I've never seen him since. I saw his daughter like 3 years ago and she came up to me and told me that he brought this story up at dinner and he always thought it was nice that I did that. I hope it was. Yo, let's stop real quick. That's right. You keep talking about it, so I'm going to keep giving it to you. We got this very cool hoodie right here. That's right. Click in the link below. Check it out. Very cool hoodie. I hope you dig as much as I do. Thanks. Here's why I said yes to the movie. I wasn't supposed to be the Mask. I was never trying to be Jim Carrey. I was supposed to be the Mask for one section of the movie, okay? Guess who was supposed to be the Mask? The baby, the dog. Like I'm saying to you is like, I didn't want the comparisons. I welcomed the challenge. You know, I was definitely nervous, but as long as I could do my own voice, I know that I could comedically make a mark because I had already done it with Malibu's and my show, The Experiment, and different movies where people said, you know, you stand out. So the problem was I was using someone else's IP that they had made known. And so now I had to get away from that. But, you know, there's a lot of other movies with actors that take the role. And as long as they do it different, it works, right? So it's like, come on, man, how many fucking Batmans are there, right? Come on.
Batman has no limits.
Here's why I thought it's okay. Because if I remember the first movie correctly, it was about this mild, meek guy, you know, Stanley Ipkiss. And he's just, you know, a down on his luck guy. And then he finds this thing and it makes him a god. Who better to do that with Jim Carrey? He becomes magical, right? And he can also play the mild-mannered guy very well, and then switch. So I was like, well, he nailed that. He owned that. He created that. That's his thing. With that became a new brand of comedy, which everyone was trying to imitate for, you know, a decade. And it's awesome. It's hilarious. It's highly entertaining. It's engaging, and you're like marvel at what he can do. I did not want to do that at all. Meaning I wanted to do what I do, but you have to think of comics voices, you know, what everyone has their own different voice, you know. So to me, why I thought the movie could work, and the director and the studio and everybody and what the writers were, here's what they were writing. I was 33 at the time. I looked about 28, 29. I play like I'm 15, like I'm still very young now. You know, I'm very youthful. And it was like, look, dude, here's what the movie's about. It's about a guy who's newly married, which we know you're scared of. And then to throw a baby on top of that and raising a baby, we know how fucking paranoid you are about that because, you know, like everyone knew me, like I wanted my freedom. I was like a bachelor. So they kind of played into that. And they go, so what? Imagine if Jamie Kennedy was newly married, had this little hottie wife, and then had a baby, which they really weren't planning. And the baby was basically Superman or a superhero. And I was like, yeah. And they said, so just imagine this as a romantic comedy and like the trials and tribulations of like what it's like to be a new father. And there's a lot of comedy in that with like Mr. Mom, a legendary comedy, you know, Three Men and a Baby, you know, these different type of movies where like a guy is fish out of water with a new kid and his wife. So they're like, that's the setup for the movie, dude. And then so you start the movie with about you, where you're like this man-child, and then you slowly but steadily start seeing little things with the baby that's a little off. And I said, okay, that could be interesting. And they go, yeah, this is going to be a slow burn. And I thought, okay, that's fucking pretty cool, right? Like the onus is off me. You start the first half an hour or 40 minutes, you're inciting incident, first act, inciting incident, going into the second act, where it's a slow lead up, and then you start realizing that this baby has these powers, and the CGI that they were showing me was incredible. Just the little look of the baby looked so fucking real, doing something so bizarre. And a baby. So what I was seeing in the tests was incredible. I equate it to probably the first time that people saw Jurassic Park. And when that movie came out, it was fucking a game changer for CGI. The same company that was doing that was doing this, and I was looking at that CGI and I'm like, this baby is like a baby dinosaur. It looks so real and it's doing shit that you can't believe. And remember that time in the movies before everything was fucking CGI, and you would look at it and you would, how they do that? How they do that? How they do that? Well, that's this time.
This film is the first film that has endeavored to create a photorealistic human infant. It's one of the most difficult things you can try to do in visual effects.
Nobody has really come up with a physical human being, much less a human infant, that was thoroughly convincing. We did a test, as a matter of fact. We built a small set here in ILM. We photographed the scene where he jumps out of his little mega saucer, strikes his little ta-da pose, and starts singing and dancing. The results were good, but we knew we could do better. But it gave us enough confidence to know, okay, there's a roadmap. We can get there from here. We scanned the real children, or we photographed them from every angle.
In total, we shot over 4,000 reference photographs for the baby, trying to cover every single part of him from top to bottom.
The human body is one of the most complex things and one of the most familiar things. And so if anything's just slightly off, it gives the effect away.
We were looking at our baby in progress saying, what's wrong? And we'd have 10 people in a room and we'd have 50 opinions.
The skin would look pasty.
The way his digital clothing was moving.
Corners of the mouth a little bit too open.
Our job is to know why it's not looking right.
There was always something that was a little bit off.
So that's why I was like, well, if this part of the script doesn't work or this joke doesn't get in or whatever, they've got a baby that can fucking twirl around and make it look real and fucking step his foot from there to there and look real. And I'm like, that's gonna be so goddamn entertaining. So many people go, how'd they do that? They're gonna wanna see it again and again. And so that's the kind of things that I looked at and I thought, okay, this could possibly work. The movie takes a lot of different turns that possibly weren't that, but the initial thing was a family that was starting, and the baby and Loki were more of the mask elements. The dog wasn't as big as a mask element as it became, and I only come on at the end to save the baby and become this superhero in the mask and do good and blah, blah, blah. That's not exactly what happened, but that was the initial thought. So that's it for this episode, guys. In the next one, episode 3, we're going to dive in all about the filming of The Son of the Mask. I know you don't want to miss that. Thank you for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the bells. You keep watching, I'll keep talking. If you want more stuff, remember, as the Patreon grows, I'm going to put more stuff on there. I've got my podcast on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere. So we've got multiple streams of different content out there. See you soon.